Hey, this is Trader Travis, and welcome to Philosophical Friday. I'm excited. This is my first Philosophical Friday for 2017, and today what I want to do is talk about losing all of your money in a bad investment. Now, if you're new to Philosophical Friday, it's a once or twice a month training where I share some of the best tips and lessons I learned from my millionaire mentors about processing and challenges of life, how to think about life from the viewpoint of a millionaire. And again, today I want to talk about the time I lost my entire net worth overnight. And I want to thank the person who sent an email to my assistant this morning with the subject line, "Badly need words of wisdom." Now, when I first scanned the email, I thought what I saw was like badly need words of encouragement. And I was thinking like, they must don't know me. They came to the wrong person for that. You go to my wife for that. Any of my friends will tell you, if you want like pats on your back, oh, it's going to be okay, do not go to Travis. If you want one thing, the only thing you come to me for is the truth, the bluntly spoken truth, just telling it like it is. That's just how I'm wired. But I reread it and I'm like, oh, words of wisdom. I was like, okay, I think I can handle that. But anyway, let me go ahead and read this email. Oh, and before I read this email, if you're new to Philosophical Friday, there's going to be no presentation slides. It's sort of like podcast format without the podcast. So you're just going to look at my title slide here. Just listen to me tell stories. So let me go ahead and read this email for you. Hey, Travis, I'm very new to stock trading, and very recently I confirmed that I became a victim of penny stock pump and dump activity. I have placed a considerable amount of money in it because I didn't know that even the good news the company was publishing was all fudged or fake. I mean, only the third-party investigative articles diverged that the company had no cash, but the news they sent out to the media was all acquisitions related. Then this person went on, I don't have a ton of investment money, and unfortunately, most of it is now tied to this garbage company. Naturally, now I am afraid and very much disheartened to continue doing stock trading. However, a part of me feels all the more challenged to become a better trader. If you have had any experience of losing big bucks in trading, can you please provide your best advice in my situation? I am truly, truly disheartened now. I want to cry. Would appreciate your advice. Sincerely. And of course, their name is kept private to protect their identity. Well, first, per Securities and Exchange Commission laws, I can't give you advice. I'm not a financial planner. My license have expired years ago. But I can say that if you feel like crying, just cry. Just get it over with. Quicker you get it over with, the quicker you can move on. But to answer your question is, yeah, absolutely, I have lost a lot of money trading. And I can tell you what I did. All advice, I like what one guy says, all advice is autobiographical. I can't tell you what to do, and I don't even like to tell people what to do. I don't like making decisions for grown adults. All I can do is tell you what I've done and hope that it helps you. So let me tell you the story about how I lost my entire net worth overnight. And that will give you an idea of, did I lose big bucks in trading? Yeah, I lost everything I ever had. And a matter of fact, I've lost twice, two situations. Both were caused by me. Both I have no one to blame but me and my stupid decisions. One was, I guess, legally mandated, where the court seized all my assets. This was when I went bankrupt in real estate. And the other time was where I invested everything I owned on one stock. And this was due through a hot stock tip I had received from my friend. And that's the story I want to tell you today. So like most disaster stories like this, mine started with a hot stock tip I received from a very close buddy of mine. This was someone I worked with. We used to brainstorm business ideas together. We were like-minded people. I trusted this guy. So he came to me one day and said his dad knew a buddy who worked for the airline company, and they were both about to be taken over, acquisitions. The stock was going to shoot up in price. And now I look back, I'm like, if that was true, that was insider trading, and I was like doing something illegal. So, he just pumped me up, sold me on it. It's a sure thing, right? And so we both invested in the stock. I think I remember he invested like $3,000. I invested $9,000, and $9,000 may not seem like a lot to you, but you have to understand that $9,000 was everything I had at that time. It was my entire net worth. Not only that, I had spent from the age of 16 to 25 saving up that money. We're talking about cutting grass money, working at an amusement park money. Everything I had to my name was put into that one stock. And like most people, I saw it as my ticket out. I can finally quit this crappy job that I hate. I can finally get rich. You hear stories about people becoming stock market millionaires, real estate millionaires. Like, this was my ticket. This was my time to shine like all those other people I read and hear about in the news. And so I put all $9,000 in that stock, based on, again, the sure thing. Now, again, going back to the $9,000, and not only that, how long it took me to save up, you have to understand where I came from. I came from an environment, American poor, where we grew up in a house with no running water bathroom. We had a 5-gallon paint bucket that we used as a toilet. I remember hearing, friends and family members where, graduating from high school was like the pinnacle of achievement. Like, that was the highest achievement you can do. And I remember somebody, negatively talking about my brother because he went to college. Me and my brother were the first ones in our family to graduate from college. And she was like, and he went back for another degree. And I became a business owner. And so she's like, why does he keep going to college? It didn't make sense. And so she was saying it in a negative sense, because in the environment I grew up in, you graduated from high school and then you went to work. And if you managed to earn like $10 an hour, you had made it. You were getting like high fives and things like that. So when I say $9,000 was everything I had, not only was it everything I had, but it was like $1 million to me. It was equivalent to someone, spending 30 years working in corporate America, saving up $300,000 in their 401k. And then they hit the bear market of 2007 and 2009. And, they lost 56% of their money. And they're looking at their account. They have like $100,000 left. And they want to vomit. They're like, I just spent my entire life working and it all went away in a matter of a year. Like, they lost everything. And so that's how it felt to me. Again, the $9,000 may, depending on your net worth and how much money you have now, you might look at it and be like, oh, $9,000 is nothing. But no, to a person growing up poor like me, and to finally, to not spend that $9,000, to finally save up all of my pennies and dollars, it was everything. My entire life was caught up in that one stock. And the stock went bankrupt. I was logging into my account every day, as you can imagine. It started going up as soon as we invested in it, and we was like, yeah, he was right. And then slowly started losing money, a little at a time, but no big deal, right? It'll come back. We were drinking the hope cocktail. And then one day I logged into my account. It was a E-Trade account, and my stock position was gone. Like, literally, like it didn't even say US Airways 0. It was just gone. It disappeared. There was no hint, proof, anything showing that I had bought a stock. I just logged into my account and it showed no positions. And I freaked out, obviously. So I frantically called E-Trade and, the customer rep person, I was like, well, where's all my money? I had all this money and it's just gone. And they were like, well, let me look into it, see what's going on. And they were like, okay, all right, I see what happened. The company filed bankruptcy. I was like, oh, look, at that time, I had no clue what bankruptcy meant. So I was like, okay, how do I get my money back? And there was like this pause on the other end. And they were like, you can't, that the company filed bankruptcy. He was speaking a foreign language to me. I was like, okay, yeah, but how do I get my money back? And he was like, you can't. The money's gone. You lost everything. So when you hear somebody tell you that you lost your entire net worth and there's nothing you can do, you can't imagine how that feels. To someone who grew up poor like me and finally thought I was making my way out of that poverty. I finally thought that this was going to be it. And all he told me was that you're back to square one. You're back to where you was when you were a kid. You have nothing. But the one good thing this person did, thankfully, is give me some tax advice. Well, not advice. I was still frantic. Like, I don't get it. He was trying his best to explain it to an uneducated and ignorant person who was ignorant about investing, because I didn't learn what investing meant until my 20s. And so he was like, look, you can write off the loss on your taxes. And I think it was like $3,000 a year. So he said, that's the only thing you really can do. And then he bid me farewell and we got off the phone. So yes, just like you, I have got caught in a bad investment. And just like you said, you feel like you want to cry. And then part of you feels like you want to give up. And then part of you feels like you're challenged. You're like, I want to make sure this never happens to me again. And that leads to, what you can do. Like, again, I can't tell you what to do. All I can tell you is what I did and what I learned. And the first thing I learned is the most obvious, but it's also the most overlooked. And that is, don't invest with money you can't afford to lose. As you said, I don't have a ton of investment money, and unfortunately, most of it is tied up to this garbage company. That's the first lesson. Never be like me and invest your entire net worth into one stock, or at least a large majority of your net worth into one stock. Somebody said one is the most dangerous number in business. There is a multimillionaire I follow now, and he helps people trade stocks. And his rule is never put more than 3% of your investable assets into one stock. And I was like, wow, that's super conservative. But again, this is a multimillionaire. He's built, he's like the record of businesses he's created and failed. So, he's made more mistakes than most people. So now he has a formula where, he's made his millions again, and this time he plans on keeping it. So that's one formula that he follows. Make sure that if you invest in stocks, make sure it's only 3% of your investable assets. So that way, no one stock can take you out. No one stock can put you in a position where I was in, where I lost everything I owned overnight. Now let's go back to what I said earlier. This person said, naturally, they're afraid and disheartened to continue doing stock trading again. However, part of them feels more challenged. There is two things going on right there. And that leads to the two choices you have when you go through experiences like this. This is why you don't come to me for everything's going to be okay. No, everything's not going to be okay if you continue making stupid decisions with your money. Okay. Again, people don't come to me for that. Ooh, pat on the back. Everything's going to be okay. You can't pay your bills with feelings. You only can pay your bills with actionable strategies that put money in your bank account. So when you go through an experience like this, you only have two choices. You can become better or you become bitter. Okay. You can become the person who, like a broken record, reminisces on all the bad experiences that happened to you. Right. I'm not making fun of divorce, but it's a lady who went through a divorce. She was tragic. She was bitter. And then she found she just became more positive. She was teaching a course on helping people who gone through divorce, how to recover from it emotionally. And she said a bitter person, one of her friends had been divorced for 5 years and was still talking about her ex-husband. And she said something of the lines of, carrying around the past of divorce is like carrying around a big bag of old newspapers with old stories in them, and it weighs you down, right? So she, I believe, is a person I learned this from. You have two choices when you go through, traumatic events. You can become better or bitter. You can become the person when somebody comes to you, like they talk about all the money they're making in the stock market. Like right now, as I'm recording this, the stock market is making all-time new highs. People are coming to you like, oh, I just made XYZ on this and that. And you become bitter because you think about that penny stock experience and you just start, oh, it's a freaking scam. Only people getting rich are the, brokers and all these Wall Street high frequency traders, and you just go off. And then people kind of look at you like, okay, who pissed in this coffee this morning, right? And they just talk about you behind your back. Or, like you said, you feel more challenged to become a better trader. Well, you become better. Things won't change until you change. Things won't get better until you get better. You can start to look at the experience and see where you went wrong. What can you learn from the experience? And here's some of the things I learned. I learned what a true stock tip is. Do you realize most stock tips you get, the person only tells you when to get in, but they're never around to tell you when to get out? And when I went to my friend one day, the day after I found out I had lost everything, I was so upset. And I went complaining to him because I just assumed he would be upset like me too, that he lost everything. You know what I've discovered? Oh, he had sold his stock position months earlier. Oh, but he just conveniently didn't say anything to me about it. And we worked together. I saw him every day. I hung out at his house. And for months, he said nothing to me. I just assumed he was buying and holding like me. So when I discovered that I had lost everything, now this is a guy who, daddy gave him money and things like that. He didn't come from the old, scrappy environment like me. So to him, it's probably no big deal, them losing their money. He's like, whatever. His daddy would give him more money, things like that, right? But I had nobody else to give me any money. Nobody I knew had money. So I can tell you that When I heard that, if I had acted on what I felt, I'm 1,000% positive I would have went to jail. But that's when I learned about true stock tips. And a true stock tip is where a person gives you an entry and they also give you an exit. If a stock tip doesn't have an entry and an exit, I ignore it. So here's an example. Buy at this price and buy up to this price. Buy the stock at $5. If it goes past $8, don't buy it anymore. It's too expensive. And then sell it here. Sell it when you double your money. Leave the rest of sell half of your position when the stock doubles. Leave the other half to become like a free trade. That's an entry and exit. That's a true stock tip to me. That leads to the next point that I think I learned. Creating a trade plan. A trade plan is like a business plan. A plan is when are you going to take your profits and when are you going to cut your losses short. So I looked at this stock this person, told me that they had this bad experience with, and it went up from like 50 cents to $5. That's an enormous return on investment. And I don't know if this person benefited in that up move or not, or if they got it in the tail end when the stock was crashing in price. It doesn't matter. The point is, when you get into any investment, this penny stock investment, Apple computer, doesn't matter. You need to have a plan of when you're going to take your profits and where you're going to cut your losses short. What's the price point you're going to determine that this was a bad investment? One of the guys I follow, William J. O'Neill, the founder and creator of Investors Business Daily newspaper, I think his is an 8% rule, like on stocks. I think if the stock falls 8%, he cuts his losses short. Okay, that's an example of a trade plan, knowing that when are you going to get out? You're not going to drink the hope cocktail, hope everything comes back. No, you're going to have a set, hard, fast rule. When it doubles in price, I'm going to take half of my profits, or when it falls 8%, I'm going to get out. Okay. The last thing I learned is the benefit of having education and or mentorship. Right now, I have a mentor. Whenever I want to make a decision, I run it by him. I say, what do you think about this? I don't look for him to make decisions for me because I want to do that myself, but I'm looking for his experience. In your experience, how has people who have made decisions like this or decisions I'm thinking about making, how has it turned out for them? So that way I can run things by them. Or somebody with a proven blueprint, somebody that's created wealth, so that way you're not reinventing the wheel. All right. Education. You either pay for education now or you be prepared to pay a bigger price for your lack of education later. Sort of like the market crash of 2007 and 2009. And so, we use that market crash to employ a strategy that a millionaire taught me that wound up tripling our 401k retirement on the recovery. But that's only because I had that education. Now, the bear market prior to that, I didn't have that education. So like everybody else, I just lost money. And also now with the right education, I know for a fact that a person can go from dead broke to financially free in 3 to 5 years and then become a multimillionaire in 7 to 10 years. And I just recently showed that to Success Academy students. But the thing is, it takes work, which disqualifies like 90% of the people right there because most people are simply too lazy, unmotivated, and far more eager to check Facebook all day than to actually accomplish anything. That's what the common man does. The uncommon man is sacrificing to reach his goals. He's giving up TV time in order to propel himself from point A to point B. He's doing things that others won't do so he can have the things that others won't have. And that's why everything I do, including these Philosophical Fridays, are engineered to attract the winners because I have zero time and zero desire to coach losers looking for handouts. And that right there, that could be an entire lesson on its own, but I'm going to get back on topic before I go off on one of my emotional rants. So let's go back to the most key point here in this email. I'm afraid and very much disheartened to continue doing stock trading. However, part of me feels all the more challenged to become a better trader. So my last piece of wisdom I have is listen to the part of you that wants to be a winner. No matter how much you lost, it will take some time to recover from this, both emotionally and financially. People don't realize that there are two recoveries. You have an emotional recovery and a financial recovery. Both need to happen. You can recover financially, but if you do not recover emotionally, that will cause you to be bitter and you'll wind up making another bad decision later. So both recoveries need to happen, both an emotional recovery and a financial recovery. And again, from somebody who's lost his entire net worth, not once, but twice, I can tell you that it is possible to pick yourself back up after this. It will take some time, but you have to decide to be a winner. You have to decide that you're going to learn from these mistakes. You won't be scared to make mistakes moving forward, but you just have to be determined that whatever mistake I make, I'm going to see the seed of opportunity in it. I'm going to see what things, the best thing in it, right? Tony Robbins talks about most of our experiences like this. I lost my entire net worth investing in U.S. Airways stock, right? Most of the bad things that's happened to us, we can look back and that's where we learn our most cherished life lessons from. So he was like, can you really call it a bad experience if, the things you most cherish, you learn from that bad experience? And so that's just a twist on how you view life. And so that's what I would do. Any experience you have, just look at what you can learn, tweak and improve, and then implement what you learn the next time around. You keep doing that over and over again, a series of micro commitments, and I am pretty sure that you will definitely be a better investor 5 years from now than you are right now. You take care. Hope this has added some value to your life or reinforced something you knew to be true. And if you think anybody else will benefit from these Philosophical Fridays, be sure to send them this way. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.